As the rain starts outside, I've been waiting to do this for a while. This is the actual Russian River Sanctification. I have never had it. This is a beer that I made with Sanctification dregs that my friend cultured up. The only thing I fermented this beer with is the dregs from Russian River. Now, it's not actually a clone. My beer is not really attempting to be a clone, but it is using the same, the same exact yeast. So this is something that I've been curious to try for a while. So I poured a little bit in the small glass, just kind of for a clarity and color comparison, but then we'll do a tasting. Just off the start here, it looks like it's pretty similar. Alright, so I don't really know exactly what I'm expecting from the Russian River. I was reading some reviews, but let's dive right in. Just kind of a pleasant general aroma. It wasn't hitting me with a lot of anything in particular. I'll come back to it, of course. Mine, which of course I'm a little more familiar with, I do get kind of a little musty and a little funk off the aroma. And I know what mine tastes like, but I'm curious to taste this. Oh, I should have read all this dissertation on the back here. Maybe I'll pause it at some point and read that and then see if there's anything useful in there. Yeah, see, this is what I've heard about this beer. There is sort of a tartness to it. It's definitely noticeable. It's not overwhelming. If you've ever had some of the more acidic, gooses and lambics and things like that. But it's definitely there, and it is pleasant and noticeable. I saw some people talk about it, they think lactic acid. But I thought this was an all Brett beer. And then, you wouldn't really get lactic, I don't think, out of Brett. It'd be a different organism. Let me take a sip of mine. The color, just kind of coincidental. It's very coincidental. I don't know if you can see this. They're almost exactly the same color. My grain bill was simply Pils malt, and then half a pound of caramel 20. So very light on the grain bill, and then 1 ounce pearl for bittering. Mine is about 8 months old, 6.4% alcohol. This one is 6.75. So actually, I was not trying to clone this beer, but my God, the color and the clarity, I don't know if you can see that, they're identical. I mean, that's interesting. I just was making a pale beer. Let me taste mine. Mine is more clean tasting, as far as there's a little bit of the dryness that you get from the Brett, kind of the the mustiness, a little bit of the dryness. But it is more just sort of a clean taste, kind of like my all Brett beer with Clausenii, how that came out. Whereas this one, definitely has, you could call it sourness, kind of a citrusy, lemony tartness to it. Some people talk about lemongrass. It is not super sour, as one person wrote. Easy sipping wild ale is kind of a nice way to put it, kind of like a starter wild ale, but yet strong enough that you do get some good flavors out of it. I'm going to pause it and read this a little bit and maybe let them warm up a little bit and come back. Alright, the label on this says that, really all it says is that it is 100% fermented by Brett, and they don't use Saccharomyces at all. But what they do not say is if it then goes into barrels, which might have other organisms in there, or if any time in the secondary scenario or the aging scenario that it may come into contact with Pediococcus, Lactobacillus, some of these other things that might give it a little more tart and sourness than just Brett. I don't really feel, I've never had an all Brett beer that is very tart or sour. The other thing though that I'm wondering is what temperature they fermented at, because mine was fermented fairly cool. I don't think it got above 70. It was probably more like 67, 68. And I'm wondering if the tartness, even from the Brett, would come out more if it was fermented warmer. It is interesting because the color and the hop bitterness and the clarity is actually, it's dead on. I mean, like I said, I don't know, you know, my camera doesn't focus, but the color has to be within a couple SRMs of each other. The clarity is, they're both clear. But this is, they call it a sour blonde, and mine is just not sour. Now maybe it will develop a little more character, a little more of that sourness over time. I don't know, it doesn't really matter to me, but it's just interesting that if you take the yeast out of here, now here's the other thought, is the yeast that you get out of here, it does say that it's also bottle conditioned with Brett. So actually what's possible is that the yeast that you get out of here, that my friend cultured up and made a batch of beer, and then he sent me some of those the washed yeast, maybe that's different than what they do the primary fermentation with. So that is one possibility. However, my friend's beer said, he said that his was pretty sour too, so maybe it has to do with fermentation temperatures more than anything. At any rate, I thought I would do this since I did finally get one of these in a trade, and since I made this beer with the yeast from a few of these bottles that my friend collected and used, I thought it would be interesting. So once again, thanks for watching. Catch you later.